Welcome to the Space Jam. Do your dance, pick up your pants. It's the Space Jam. All right.
We'll probably get copyrighted there.
Oh, shoot, we're copyrighted. Crap.
Have you guys seen the new Space Jam movie?
I did not. Did you?
Travis, have you?
I just missed it.
You just missed it. No. Well, believe it or not, you can stream it now on HBO Max.
Oh.
Only the cost of $4.99 a month.
I believe
just kidding. Hashtag ad.
Wow.
I actually just went back and watched the original Space Jam on Hulu. And when you say that, that was kind of funny because I was like, I'm gonna watch the OG Space Jam, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit.
Well, let me say something about the original Space Jam because you've brought it up. To me, that movie is only two scenes. I only remember two scenes. I don't remember it as a movie. I remember it as like a thing I saw, and I remember two scenes. And to the extent that I saw a picture of it recently, and I saw Bill Murray, and I was like, Bill Murray's in Space Jam?
Bill Murray's in Space Jam prominently.
Because when I was a kid, I just remember Michael Jordan was a little kid, and he wanted to be. Wasn't he a little kid in that movie at the beginning?
Yeah, so that's
a big game.
That to me is a scene I watched 8 billion times over when I was a little kid. The scene when he's a little kid, I believe I can fly, and he shoots the ball and stuff. That yes. I watched 8 million times for some reason and kept repeating, like rewinding. And then, of course, the scene where he like stretches his arm like 8,000 feet at the very end.
That's right.
That's right. So, it's an okay movie, but there's two funny Space Jam. Okay, this is a Space Jam podcast now. Two funny stories. One, we went over to my wife's friend's house at one time, and this was not that long ago. This was in the 2010s, and it was like, oh yeah, we want to watch Space Jam. Okay, I have it on VHS. And I'm sitting there and I could not help, like I kept laughing throughout. I was just like, I'll buy a DVD player. Like I'll go out right now and get you to at least watch it at 480p. But that was the last VHS I watched for some reason was in the 2010s. And then second story, and I think our friend Devin has told this on one of the Hangouts before, but his parents, there's a scene in there where Daffy says something like the D word or something. I can't remember what he says. Or stupid. He says stupid. I think he says the word stupid or something. And that was a no-no, I guess, in Devin's house. And his parents edited the thing. Like, went in there and cut, like, physically on the VHS tape and spliced it and taped it back where that was gone. So when, like, years later, he was at a friend's house or whatever and saw it, he probably was, like you said, he was, like, shocked. He was like, that never, whatever. And he asked his parents about it. I was like, yeah, we edited. So he had the edited.
I need to know now, what else did they edit?
Yeah, what else?
Here's the kicker. I didn't know you could cut and splice VHS tapes like that.
Yeah.
Like, and it work.
I've actually done that before. I have spliced as a side job thing, I've like cut and like saved footage for people from VHS tapes or whatever.
There's
you can splice them.
There's a strange level of commitment to that film specific. It's not like, well, you're not going to watch Space Jam. There's something bad in it. It's like, we want you to watch Space Jam, but we really don't want you to see this part. And it's not a fast forward option. It's we are going to manipulate the film option. That's a very specific. That's interesting.
Daffy Duck got his First Amendment rights revoked.
I think the kicker out of all of that, which is absolutely mind blowing to me, is the fact that you can edit VHS tapes. Like I don't care if they say the word stupid. I went back and watched the movie, and we'll talk about. I'm just gonna talk about it now since we were talking about it. I think it was an okay movie. Travis is 100% right. He says there's like only two scenes really, which in my opinion,
it's a whatever.
They're on the golf course, and he gets dragged through the Toon World. And when he's in the gym playing the basketball game. That's it. That's the only two really scenes.
It's a fun kids. It's for kids. It's a Looney Tunes around the screen.
Michael Jordan's low-key a decent actor. He wasn't terrible. I mean, he was a basketball player. He's not an actor, but it was fine. Like, he didn't seem awkward. But I was wondering if you guys, the new Space Jam's out. I want to watch it. I like LeBron a lot.
They didn't make the bunny sexy. I'll just say it.
Didn't they tone down the sex?
They did. Bunny? And I got so mad. I punched a hole through my wall.
We live in an era where kind of sexy furry women are more common actually in culture.
Yeah. So what happened?
Furries out there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I was wanting I'm an adult. You know how
I know what happened. Devin's parents got a job at WB.
Oh my god!
And cut that out.
We have unfinished business here.
I can't
Yeah.
wait to text him and tell him, "Hey, we talked about this." On the
I think he has definitely told this story like on one of our hangouts or whatever.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me. Well, believe it or not, I'm pretty sure we're not a Space Jam podcast.
We're not. We are the DweeBros podcast. Welcome. And actually, we've rebranded as the DweeBros officially. It was the Dweebo channel on YouTube. We are now.
What does that mean, Zach?
We are now. What does that mean? That we're the DweeBros.
We are the DweeBros.
We're the DweeBros.
It only took us 57 podcasts, a TV show, and a number of streams to finally make this decision.
Yeah.
So the name of the channel is now DweeBros.
The name of the channel is now DweeBros. Everything is DweeBros. Listen, I tried forever even to get the Dweebo Twitter because it was Dweebo YT. I never liked that name. I always told it every week, check out Dweebo YT. And I punched myself in the face every time I turned off the computer. And I reached out that he lives near us. He's actually in the same state, Ohio. And I said, can I please have the Dweebo handle? And he never responded to me. And I almost went to his house. Did some doxing stuff and found him and said, listen, I'm a gamer, dude. I need this.
Was it an active Twitter account?
Yeah.
Wow.
But he never responded. It's like, come on, man.
His brand.
So now when you go to Twitter, it's just at DweeBros.
At DweeBros. Yes. Everything is
What
DweeBros.
about YouTube? It's just at DweeBros.
At DweeBros, yeah.
We got consistent branding now.
Yeah. And
This is like when Mario went from the dumb little game with two guys in one pipe to now it's Super Mario Brothers. Bros.
Yeah.
Like
Super everything before this is the 8-bit, and we're in the 16-bit era. We're not even in 3D yet. Wait till we get there.
Well, that's kind of cool because we do have, and I don't think we're ready to talk about anything specific today, but I think there's a lot of really good stuff in the works for the channel, Zach.
I say we can go in that maybe later. I say we just whatever, and maybe we'll do something separate like we talked about. But I think we'll talk about it.
Okay.
But we'll leave that little crumb for you, and you're gonna go, oh, that was tasty. I want some more of that.
Crumb.
One little chocolate crumb. I want to taste that later.
That's all you get. You got to sign up for our OnlyFans for the rest.
And that's at DweeBros.
DweeBros.
Yeah,
it's gonna help fund Dweeps season 2.
That's the only way. I got to show something.
We decided Patreon was too mainstream. We needed to reach the niche crowd, so we went the OnlyFans route.
Yeah, you got to.
I'm not above putting Dweeb season 2 out on one of these sites that gets a lot of views, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, you might see a little something extra in season 2. Season 2 is gonna, Jack and Daxter. I don't know if you guys play Jack and Daxter, but Jack and Daxter 1 is like a platformer, funsy kind of thing. Jack 2, like Jack starts cussing. He never talked in the first game. It's like dark. It's GTA.
You gun? You got a gun?
Yeah, he starts shooting guns in the second one. That is what season 2 is. It's like we're gonna start like.
We're not going Sonic. We're not going Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah, Devin's parents. I mean, you'll get 2 seconds of the season after they're done with it. Seriously,
we should go like Borat level where you play a character, Zach, and get hired at an actual game development company as a director. Like on your way in, and then just like make a ruckus, man. Make crazy stuff happen. And we'll film it on a documentary. Yeah,
put me at the head of EA. I'm gonna see.
Oh my gosh, this is.
We'll see what we're going to do. But, welcome. We went off some tangents, but I am Zach, a.k.a. Dweebo, a.k.a. the yellow one. I'm joined by the red one, Jacob, as he's known by, and I'm joined by the white one, Travis, the white one.
Labeling by color now. We're just going for ethnic barrier.
I don't know if I like that.
It's not. Hey, we're just talking shirts.
We are talking shirts for the people that are just listening.
If you're listening audio, you're probably like, what the frick just happened to this gaming podcast?
A visual description of what we're looking like.
Yeah.
We are the DweeBros. Welcome.
Welcome.
This is who we are.
This is who we are. This is who we be. We've got some video games we talk about. We've got some TV shows, movies, some crazy news. I think news went off the rails. I think the world went off the rails this month.
Yeah.
Some
talk about
loop-de-doop-de stuff happened. Video games. You might have heard about them. They are a growing industry, and they're here to stay. I will talk very quickly about 2 that I played, and then I'll let you guys talk, and then I will tell you guys why I was physically unable to play any more video games this month. That's your clickbait. I played Final Fantasy Remake Intermission, played more of that. They added I got to the part where there's like a mini game. And in the first game, there was a game, or in Final Fantasy VII, the original, there was a little mini game called Fort Condor. And it was kind of like a strategy kind of like thing. They remade the mini game for this DLC, and it's actually kind of fun. So I've spent the most time just doing that. But I still haven't beat it. I'm still just doing all that stuff. I beat all the people in that Fort Condor thing. It's fun.
I'm looking at pictures of this Fort Condor. I remember this. They're all climbing the big hill.
Yeah, the hill stuff. So they remade it, and it's more like a kind of a tower defense strategy. I don't even know how to explain it, but I actually had a lot of fun playing it, and a little change of pace there. But that's Final Fantasy VII Remake. Just love playing, getting back into that world. Oh, I do want to say I got to a part. Just remember this, in the remake. And the first game had this too, where there's like a mini game or like a mini like challenge, like battle challenge or something. And if you do it, you get like an achievement. You don't have to like do it to the fullest extent. You can get like 3rd place or whatever it is and be fine and continue the story. To get 1st place in like the amount of points you have to get, basically it's like attacking boxes. Wasn't it in the first one? Yeah, with Cloud in the remake. You had to attack boxes, and some had like 100 or 500 points.
Yeah, yep.
So they brought that back for the remake. It is so hard, and I was screaming at the top of my lungs, like trying to do this because I wanted the 1st place. But I found out I had to go on YouTube, and the people, they explain mechanics that are never explained in the game. With Yuffie, who you play as in this DLC, but you're playing it, and they're like, yeah, you have to throw this. Let it sit out there like her little spinning disc, and then do the ability, and that's what actually like does the wide attack. And on the YouTube, all the videos, people are like, yeah, they never explain this. You just have to find it out. So, not good. But once I learned that, it like opened up the game for me, and I was having even more fun and stuff with it. But
cool, it brings back that like nostalgia factor of like you didn't have the internet back then.
But I really didn't know what I was doing there. So, but that was fun. And then me and Travis played A Plague's Tale. We had a good rat time, a ratty time. We talked a lot of rats. We pulled up rat raps on YouTube and started listening to them. Chuck E. Cheese was involved. But check that out on the channel, Hangouts. That was a fun time.
We played about 1/3 of it.
Yeah, we played quite a bit of it.
Yeah, it was a long stream.
It was.
What were your impressions of that, Zach?
Pretty fun. It was like a AA game. I think you mentioned this already and stuff. But it's fun. I think the rat physics. I sound like I'm joking, but I'm not. The rat physics were the best rat physics I've ever seen.
It's always good to know that.
Yeah, so that was fun.
You could tell they didn't get a lot of sleep making those rats move the way they did.
Yeah.
I like that game a lot. I think that it's got good characters, and some of that stuff's harder to get from a stream because we're laughing about rats the whole time. But it's got a really good atmosphere.
Yeah.
And it's very, I would say it's pretty unique, even though it really is like a AA Naughty Dog type game. I think it has a lot of unique elements to it.
Now, they're coming out with supposedly a sequel, right? That's supposed to be bigger and kind of more of a bigger budget.
And it's got to have more rats.
I mean,
it's got to have more rats.
It'll be a bigger budget probably just in terms of the first one was successful, so there will be less resistance on getting it made and maybe a slightly bigger team. But the way the first game ends, a sequel makes sense, but the first game is a complete story. So I guess I'll be interested to see how they handle, I guess I would say combat in the sequel. There's some pretty big things story-wise that happen that make the two main characters both useful in their own way in combat. It's more of a stealth game, but you can like use a slingshot and sneak around and hit people with it. But by the end of the game, there are some interesting things going on combat-wise that you don't get earlier. And I'm curious how they would take that in a sequel. I think there's still even more room and different kinds of puzzles they can do. But And for the sister, she looks like she's older in the new one, and I don't know, she doesn't look like a kid. In the first one, she's like a 14-year-old kid, so she's like using a slingshot. She looks a little bit more hardened in the new one, so I don't know if that means she's going to actually be able to do some fighting, like proper fighting. I don't know how much they'll stray from the stealth routes, but I'm interested in whatever they do with it, because they had a good enough story and they kept the pacing varied up enough to where I was interested the whole way through the first one. So I'm definitely interested in whatever they do with the sequel. The end of that game, I will say, I won't get into spoilers because Zach's playing it, and I don't know. Do you plan on finishing it, Zach?
We'll see.
Oh, we'll see. That's right. I guess I would just say that game goes like Super Saiyan at the end in a way that is just like, what is happening? And they introduce a character about halfway through that game that's like, I guess you would call them like the big bad guy.
A giant rat, hopefully.
And I just like, part of me is like in a sequel, like in like the level of almost like conspiracy of like how this person's tied into all that what's going on. I'm like, how do you even top what they did in the first game, or how do you, what else is going on in this world, kind of a thing?
Yeah.
Because it's very like much based in like 1400s France, but obviously it's not literally 1400s France because there's rat armies running around. So yeah, it's a cool game. It's fun, and it was fun playing it on stream.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
Cool. Well, Travis, and I'll talk about some games I've been playing, and we can kind of let you go.
I guess I would say, like, I dabbled on a couple games in Game Pass. I think I talked about them last week. I didn't really get much further in them, like Ori and Yakuza. So I don't really want to talk about that crap because I really haven't played them that much more. But what I have been playing is my younger brother is huge into Magic the Gathering. And I've been really busy lately, you know, with different projects and stuff. And I just have not had the time or the energy after work to sit down and like play video games. But my brother is super into Magic the Gathering, and he got me to go to the newest pre-release that they have. And if you're not familiar, Magic the Gathering pre-release is basically they release new sets. They're like expansions every 3 months. And so the pre-release is you go and you buy a box. It's like this big, and it has like 6 or 8 packs of like 15 cards that are all from the new expansion. And you open them all up and you end up with like 120 cards, but you have 30 minutes to put those 120 cards into a 40 card deck, and then you play a tournament with everybody, and it's all new cards. Nobody knows what's good and what's bad. And I had a great time. Like, Magic the Gathering is a really good game. It's been around for 30 years at this point. And it really has stood the test of time. But it gave me nostalgia for like being a kid in like elementary school, and like everybody just kind of has random cards. like this guy just like had a pixie and then had a bunch of little pixie guys. So he made a deck that's all that because he got lucky and that's what he had. And I had like this deck with these big giant green monsters and stuff. But that being said, I ended up having, I had some old decks. And so this is my Magic collection.
Oh, wow.
I never thought I would have one.
How in the world have we got a collection now?
I got 4 decks that I already had for a while that I hadn't been playing with a lot. And then the pre-release is this deck right here. And the cool thing, I did want to show this because I think it's a unique thing that's just in this set, is this is the deck I made. So the cool thing with this deck is, and with this new set is, the whole thing is D&D based. So you traverse into these dungeons. So they're like these holographic dungeons. And they have all these like D&D type mechanics off to the side of the card game. So you're doing dice rolls with D20s, and you're like, a lot of the cards are named after, this guy is a very famous D&D character. I drew him in my deck. It's an old school art, so it's really cool. They also made some of the cards look like old school like D&D manuals. So like
nice.
This card's from a new set that just came out, but a lot of cool stuff in this, and I think this might be a hobby I get some more into. I like Magic. It's a really well-constructed game. It's very balanced, and unlike Yu-Gi-Oh, probably. And yeah, I've been having fun with it. So
Yu-Gi-Oh was the only one that I ever played with friends. Like Pokemon, I like to collect and like and trade cards and stuff, and I liked that, but I never played once the Pokemon like game. And then the Yu-Gi-Oh! I did like a lot. And then I'll never forget this. I had this friend I played with all the time, and he beat me every single time. But the way we played was not how you were supposed to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Because one of the rules with Yu-Gi-Oh! Was you were only supposed to have so many, like, I don't remember the max amount, but they were like, you're only supposed to have this many 5-star, this many, like, 2-star in your deck. Like, you couldn't have, like, all 20 Blue Eyes White Dragon stuff in there, right?
Your friend made that up.
Well, that might have been. Hold on, you might be thinking of like the precursor to tribute summoning playing style.
No, like when you read, like, this was back when the Blue Eyes White Dragon Kaiba deck or whatever.
Yep.
Was the best.
We just had every card in our decks. We had like the max amount of cards you could have in the deck, and we would play. But then it was either him or me. We looked at the rules and we're like, oh yeah, you're not supposed to play. We would have like the strongest monsters, and we would just have everything in there.
I think what you were doing is it wasn't the construction of the deck, because I actually just watched a whole video about the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! Rules, so I'm not trying to like check you, but like I literally just watched a 2-hour video on it, and I played competitive in the earliest days, and there was never a rule in what you could put in your deck in terms of only so many 5-stars, 6-stars. But what happened was early in the game, the anime was out.
Yeah.
And the card game was out, but nobody knew how to play the card game. And when you watch the anime, they had no rules around summoning, so they would just throw down a Blue Eyes. I summon Blue Eyes.
Yes, that's what happened.
They would just summon. They would just be like, I summon Blue Eyes and Dark Magician. Like they would just throw them out.
Yeah.
But the rules actually have sacrifice. So if it's a 5 or 6 star, you got to sacrifice one.
That's what happened. That's what happened. Yeah. So then we were like, oh, we have to actually build like our decks. At that point, I spent time and really put time into like, this is how I'm going to do this, whatever. And that my friend never played with me again after that. Like we never played. I was like, I'm ready to kick your butt now, and you won't play with me. So
there's a real bummer. Like once you implement rules, there's a real like shedding. Like there are people who just they don't want to think that deep about it. They just want to throw cards out and have fun.
Yeah,
but that was the kicker, because like TCG which is like the traditional style playing prior to like the introduction of synchro summoning and XYZ summoning, was like, my opinion, the most fun way to play the game.
I agree. I did never get into the newer synchro and XYZ and extra zones.
Synchro XYZ kind of like, and I'm not saying this in like a mean way, but they kind of like a way to compete against Magic in terms of playstyle. Because Magic is you're able to do a lot even though you're not allowed to do a lot. Does that make sense, Travis? I'm sure you can understand what I'm saying.
No, I would agree. Yeah.
Because of card effects and being able to chain things together, you get to pull these insane combos. And so when you look at Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Had a slower pace of a game where you had to really just pull the right cards and kind of make the combo go together, but it was a really slow paced game. So they sped the game up introducing Synchro and XYZ summoning to allow you to summon 3 monsters right off of one rip. And I've seen games where a guy got annihilated by one master combo in one turn. And it's like, that's not fun.
Yeah. Jacob, you're definitely right, because Yu-Gi-Oh! It's all attack, get strong guys out there, attack. And then there would be cards that had effects, but the effects were like giant paragraphs, and they were always different. So if you saw a card you'd never seen before, you had to really sit there and read the effects. Whereas, I don't know if you can see this that well, and I'll put something up on the screen after in the editing, but like this character has something called flying. I don't know if you can see it, but he has an effect called flying. All it says is flying, because they don't need to write all the things flying lets you do, because flying is a keyword in Magic, and anything with flying, you know that it can't be blocked by another enemy, and it can attack over because it's got flying. So Magic, Magic has like 8, 9 different keywords that have like systemic effects, like haste, and so haste means as soon as you summon it, it can attack the first turn. Trample, and so because of that, Magic is just it's a more sustainably built game. It's been basically the same game since the 80s, and they just can continue to add new mechanics and new cards. But like whenever you had new Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, it was like, okay, it's going to be 2,000 attack. Now it's going to be 3,000 attack. Now it's going to be 4,000 attack. Now it's going to be 5,000 attack, because they couldn't make the game scale very well. And yeah, I really like Magic. I think it's cool. I didn't grow up on it. I always have a soft spot for Yu-Gi-Oh, but I think Magic is a much better designed game. And Zach, I totally I had that experience too. I have friends like Jacob that wanted to play Yu-Gi-Oh with me, and then they'd get me in infinite loops, and it would take me about 5 minutes to realize this isn't how the game's supposed to be played. Because that happened. That happened a couple years ago.
I don't know any better, man.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we'll talk into the next idea then, because I think there's something. Travis finally got his first taste, I think, of VR, of his own VR.
Yeah.
Me and him actually logged on and got to play some Yu-Gi-Oh VR. So
Did somebody pull pot of greed?
Jacob pulled pot of greed, yes.
Yeah.
Multiple times, hopefully.
Travis, you can talk first. I'll talk about my perspective if you want. Go ahead.
Well, and I love the world we're living in. Like, I'm like, Jacob's like, you want to do like VR dueling? And I have this PC VR now. I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And he gives me a Discord link, and I go to the Discord link, and the Discord link sends me to this like very low population Discord, and then they send me to this web page, and the web page sends me to this other thing, and then they tell me to download this thing, and I'm like, do I need to like install this through Oculus? And they're like, yeah, just turn it on and put your headset on, it'll work. And I was like, anything else that's official to get it to work in VR, you got to like do 8 things.
Yeah.
And it did. I just launched it to my desktop and put my headset on, and it was doing it. So I was like, I don't know what kind of system level permissions I've given this thing. But yeah, it is a fan-made VR game.
Officially licensed.
Yeah, no. And that, I think, is the best part. And,
I think that's the best part.
I got to be honest, this kind of reinforced something that I feel, and I've been saying, and I continue to feel, is I think that things are always more interesting when there is copyrights are ignored or there are no copyrights, because obviously there's a copyright for Yu-Gi-Oh, but this is something that Konami would never make. But the world is better that it exists. As weird and janky and goofy as it is, the world is better that it exists. And I have been saying for a while, like, I wish we lived in a world where copyrights expired after 10 years or something. Like, once you make an idea, if it penetrates the culture and it has a cultural footprint after 10 years, it should be open. Anybody can do whatever they want with it because it's part of our common culture at that point. And I just love that, like, they're not making any money off this. They're just doing it for fun. And it's very fun. I felt like an old man. I could not figure out how to open up the main menu. And then, like, editing the deck with the wand, I was like, I'll just use whatever the deck is. Like, I'm not doing that. But you could dress up in different outfits and walk around and see the anime characters hanging out. And it was fun. And then Jacob and I and 2 other people were playing this game at the same time. And so we found a lobby. Another guy jumped in the lobby, so we went to another lobby. And we dueled up on the blimp. We dueled in the Duelist Kingdom
arena
setup. Arena.
That right there, I'm sorry, that's my favorite way to duel people.
Yeah, that was cool.
Because you're on the, like, watching the anime.
The classic
back in
arena.
The day, you had to go find an arena and duel on the arena. You fell up in the tower, and I was like, Travis, we got to duel in the arena first. Like, that's like, and you put the card down on the jumbotron, and it pops up in front of you, and you literally see that card just laying down. You're like, oh,
it's really cool. I also really like the dual disc. I think, and I mean, it is what it is. I think that it gets a little janky. Like, your arm will just start, like, turning, even though your arm isn't turning, like the video of your arm. So I'm always, like, doing this to get, but it's just fun. You know, those dual discs are iconic. And I think Yu-Gi-Oh is, I've been rewatching it just casually in the background. My wife will have it on because it's just like a very nothing thing, you know, but it's nostalgic. And I just love that world, especially that first anime. It's just fun. So yeah, that was a really fun experience playing the Yu-Gi-Oh VR.
I beat Travis both times. I'm gonna go on record saying that.
I will say I did a little more research, and I also saw a video where there's a group that, now that Ocarina of Time has gone open source, it hasn't gone open source. It
got leaked open source
now. But now that you can get any version of Ocarina of Time you can imagine, there are VR versions.
Oh, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. I'm getting it.
I was watching videos about it, and it really reinforced something for me that I wish more companies were taking advantage of, which is VR is immersive. it doesn't have to be first person. I think some of the best uses of VR are third person. And this guy talked about how when you play Ocarina of Time in VR, Link is almost like a little doll guy, and like you are in the Great Deku Tree and you look up and it's just huge, and the music is so immersive, and they talk about like it's like playing it again for the first time, and it's really really cool. I just think that I want to go play that in VR now. Astrobot is in VR. I just wish there were more third person games in VR. I wish that was something that, I don't know, like Resident Evil 4 is coming out right now in VR, but it's going to be first person. And I'm just like, why? Why not just leave it third person? Like, and then you are basically the camera. You're the director. You're directing the camera. What angle do you want to see this at? I wish that there was more of that going on.
I think it's one of those things where it's like VR is still very much getting its established foothold.
Yeah.
And as more companies recognize the legitimacy of the market in which like people do want this, and also the market gets bigger, I think you'll see those things get expanded upon. I just don't think you're going to see that off the rip.
Well, I also think at this point I'm pretty staunch on this, that VR is a sidestep to gaming. I think that eventually we will get to where we are inside of simulations, but I don't think like it's going to go from gaming the way we're used to gaming to only VR to then simulations. I think gaming as we know it, like the main platforms and PCs, and I think eventually we'll start hooking into those things without headsets. But I'm starting to see VR stuff is almost like handheld. Like it's got its niche. It's going to be, there are definitely mountains still to climb with that. But I think when VR first started getting big, we were like, is this going to replace like traditional flat screen gaming? I don't think VR itself with headsets ever will. I think it's always going to be viewed as like a peripheral, like a handheld type part of the industry. I don't think that's a bad thing, but like I don't know. I don't think we're ever going to hit a point where it's like the PS6 is VR only. Like I get what you're saying.
I think one thing that's helped it too is at least culturally, like if I'm on TikTok and stuff, I keep seeing videos of this one guy, and I think I've seen videos of this before, but like this guy was like, this is the sign of confidence. Let me look at this guy at this airport, and he turns his camera, and there was a guy at the airport with an Oculus Quest 2, and he was playing it, like waiting for his plane and stuff. And I was like, wirelessly, like once you take those wires out, like why wouldn't you put that on? I mean, not at an airport, maybe I wouldn't, but
I'd be like, someone's going to nut tap me.
That is blowing my mind.
But that's the thing, though. But like that, and then like being able to like do the pass through, where you can see and stuff. Because like when I put that PSVR on, I am locked in for the night, because that is such a hard thing with the headphones and everything else. But
yeah,
I think that makes it easier, and it's one cord and whatever else. I think more and more people will adopt it, but yeah.
Travis, I'm glad
fun
we
stuff.
Played that though. For me, I think Yu-Gi-Oh will always have a soft spot in my heart. I always go back and play against randos. Maybe me and you need to go 2v2 duel and go on and dunk on some fools.
That'd be fun. I'm down.
2v2.
I'm definitely.
I think my favorite part about it was the acting. Like you almost have to act. Like,
yeah.
And I'm sitting there. I played with the Toon deck, or the second time we dueled, and it was like my roommate walked in like, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, dude.
I'm down to play it some more. I will say, and I won't touch on this for a long time, but on the other end of the spectrum is a very licensed card game of Magic Arena. And Magic Arena is a PC and handheld game. I think it might be on the Switch too, but it is like Wizards of the Coast, like official. And that game is like, it's not like a one-time game. It's free to play. It's their platform. It literally is Magic, and you have a deck collection and cards, and whenever a new set releases, they also release it in there. When you get cards in real life, you can transfer them into the game or something like that. You can do like equivalent stuff. They host tournaments in there. Like it is like a really, really, really good digital version of what is the actual paper Magic game. And I've been playing some of that too, because it's really, really well done and fun. So and it's easier because
I have it.
Yeah, we should play it sometime, Jacob. That'd be a fun stream, actually. That'd be
I like
a really
Magic. I'm okay at it. I'm not the greatest, but I can hang. Yeah, I'd totally be down. I think me and you have to have a card game stream. We play Yu-Gi-Oh, we play Magic, we just
Hey, that could be
we
really
find a
fun.
way to play Pokemon VR while we're out now.
I actually
Whatever it
started
is.
looking up the Pokemon rules the other day, and I finally feel like I understand
The
it. It's more
Pokemon card
similar.
game, yeah, is not as hard as it looks. It's just
Yeah,
kind of dumb.
it's like if you had magic, but you could only have one creature out at a time. It's
Yeah.
kind of like that in a
Well, there's a
weird way.
party.
It's not exactly.
There's a house rule where you can do 2v2 like you do in normal, like some people do. But I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot to manage. Cool. Well, a couple games I've been up to, and I'm playing. I've been playing Warzone. I'll talk about this real quick. And Activision is a terrible company. I don't know if I need to explain more about that. They got some stuff going on where they apparently some of the higher ups were giving women more jobs to do.
Oh
and
wow!
they were sexually harassing them to do it.
Well, it's really bad. I think the state of California is investigating them like formally.
Oh, I don't know about all this. What the frick happened?
And,
Activision.
well, a lot has happened. A whole bunch of stuff has come out about sexual harassment, sexual assault, and there is a woman employee who she was harassed on business trips by higher ups. She killed herself, and the people that were responsible still work there. Like
Wow,
horrible cultural stuff. So yeah, I mean, Activision, Blizzard, I think we've known for a long time that there's cultural issues, because I feel like you're always hearing that. And I know we make fun of I think we got to be honest, like, on this podcast we joke about the crunch stuff. It's not always a joke, and there are I think there are some fricked up things that are occurring for sure. At the same time, like, this stuff, that's a different thing. Like, sexual assault and harassment is just yeah.
I think it's
I see things in the news and I'm like, what is happening? Like, why is this a thing? Like, why? Yeah. I don't understand the way people are treated. So
Activision has not made any other statements other than the fact that they're going to comply with whatever's being put in front of them. At the end of the day, it's just really crappy to see that. And I play a lot of Warzone. Activision owns Call of Duty and does all that stuff. And the company just sucks. The game's completely ruined now at a point now. There's hackers in every game.
I hear a lot about that. Warzone is like...
It sucks, man. Because, I've put almost 11 days, I don't even know how many hours that is now, 11 or 12 days in the game. And I'm actually decent at the game. I'm sitting almost at a 1.9 KD, which that's top 3% in the world. That's how hard Warzone is. Like, I have
really good at shooters.
I have I've just keyboard and mouse too, which is crazy because I remember I was talking about Destiny days. I'm like, I'm not playing on keyboard and mouse.
Hey, it's a lot better, isn't it?
Yeah, night and day difference. So easy.
Yep.
But you gotta be more accurate. And I get frustrated now because I'm talking to my friend and I'm like, man, like, we work hard in this game and then we get crapped on in the end by a dude who has 70 kills and he's been hacking the entire time. And it's like, what's the point? Like, why can't... So this leads into my other conversation is, I don't understand how dumb a company can be to not install anti-cheats in their games, especially in this day and age where everything is online, or a major online game. You need to have some form of protection for your player base.
I think that and I'm not the most educated on this, anti-cheat like as a one thing isn't... It's not a simple A to B. Like, there's cheaters, so we need anti-cheat. Anti-cheat is like anti-cheat software is a large volume of different ways of blocking certain activity.
Wow.
They hog resources. They definitely are invasive, and that's a thing people get a lot of pushback for, like de novo, and that's kind of not anti-cheat as much as anti-piracy. But I mean, it's kind of a catch-22. I feel like people aren't happy if you put anti-cheat in your game because it blocks people and but then if they don't include it, it's kind of... I feel for developers. It's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of a situation.
These games where you look at Valorant, you look at Fortnite, you look at PUBG, you look at all these major giant Overwatch who have some sort of cheat system in place to where it's not perfect, but you jump into a game and you don't struggle. You're not sitting there getting crapped on repetitively by someone who's just shooting in the air and the bullets automatically hit you because they're just shooting. Like, we're talking, this is MW2 bull crap, man. Like, that's what I'm talking about. And that's just what it floors me. I don't understand. I play a lot of online only games. I don't play it. That's honestly a large of what I do. And with Cronus coming out, have you guys heard about Cronus?
What's Cronus?
You guys ever heard about
No.
Cronus? Oh my
No.
gosh, dude.
Cronus Trigger?
It's basically a strike. What it is a box that you can download scripts to, and you can run these scripts on your consoles and give you cheats. So, for example,
Cronus.
NBA 2K, people were downloading scripts to get perfect release every time they released the ball. So they were going to online
Sounds
games,
fun.
and they were getting nothing but perfect releases, and you can't stop them because they have a box that's scripting out to this console how to play it.
You guys know the end game for all this? You know the end game?
The simulation theory?
No. Kind of, but no. The end game for all this is they're going to let these games where you run them on your hardware get so bad that then they'll offer, well, you could also play it through a streaming service and it's running on our hardware. No one can cheat, and people are going to start going that way. That's where this is headed.
Stop cheating!
Because
Stop
you can't
cheating,
cheat.
everybody! Stop!
Because you can't
Stop
cheat
cheating,
if you're playing it through a
please.
stream. I'm just telling you, Jacob, there are very real motivators to not try to
Oh,
play
I,
these
Stop.
I think Activision 100% is using, because you want to know why? If they ban an account, the reason I'm an cheat, if they ban an account, someone has to make another free account, and they'll spend money on a pack to get the guns they need to get so they can cheat. Like,
Yeah.
it's I understand why they're doing. They're a greedy company, and these companies are greedy. It just makes gaming so unfun and frustrating, and that's just where I'm at right now with that. So yeah,
Don't
that's
cheat.
the only thing. Yeah, don't cheat. Cronus strike packs. Look them up. They're terrible.
So
They're
you did,
awful.
so you did. So it sounds like you're not having fun with Warzone as you did in the past. So luckily you played a much more fun game. It looks like
Yeah.
like one of the most fun games ever made. I would say.
I actually booted up the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, the HD version of it for the Nintendo Switch.
The remaster.
I want to hear your impressions, but can I just say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Skyward Sword has never, ever. Most Zelda games when I see it, like I should play that. Every time I've seen that, it's just like, man, that looks rough. Like I just think
Let's
it's
talk
always
about
hit
it.
me that way. Let's talk about it. Talk to me about Skyward Sword. Make the
I
case.
got a Nintendo Wii on the first day it came out. I had it on, like, it was in my possession. I'm a huge fan of the Nintendo Wii. I think the Nintendo Wii is one of my most fun consoles I've had. Played Twilight Princess on it. Twilight Princess is one of my all-time favorite Zeldas. But when I look at Skyward Sword, I didn't get it because it required the Wii Motion Plus. We didn't have Wii Motion Plus in my house.
Yeah, I had the limited edition bundle that included that. If I didn't, I would have had to have gone buy. I forgot about that. You had to have that, and I just got the bundle.
So then by the time I got money to do it, I was already getting leave for college, and I was kind of out of the whole, like, I
Yeah,
didn't game for a
yeah, it was
hot
2011. Yeah.
But I remember looking at videos and being like, this game looks terrible compared to, like, the Xbox 360 and the PS3.
It looks
And,
bad too because by that time HD was taking off, like with the 360 and stuff.
Good. It was
So-
so much better.
So then you have this ugly, like that game just didn't hit. It looked ugly from back then, and it just looked bad back
it looked
then.
terrible. It looked ugly. And then on top of that, all I heard about people was complaining about was there was a character named Fi or Fee
Yeah,
pop up every 5 seconds,
yeah,
and you just couldn't do anything.
yeah,
And so I heard this game get crapped on for years.
yeah.
And then I was going to try to play it on the Wii because I sat there and said, I need to play all the Zelda games. I can't just sit here and say it. So I was going to try to play it, and I was like, oh, the remaster's coming out.
Yeah, it's
No,
fine.
so I am now playing it on the Nintendo Switch, and it looks great. I mean, I'll tell you right now, if you want an improvement compared to the original, I mean, it's 1080p, looks great, runs great. I'm not having any slowdown so far. So for that right there, instant, like, good job. You can at least make the game look better.
Nice.
Let's talk about gameplay, because Travis, have you picked the game up? Are you going to pick this game up? No. Zach, I know you're not.
$30. I
Jacob-
said $30 is my
Jacob,
price.
You
for this
could,
game.
Jacob, you could drop your pants and say this game changed everything in your whole life, and I would still be like,
He still wouldn't play
I
it.
mean, I got to hear 10 more people say this before I mean, I'm really interested. No, I really want to hear. I've heard so much bad stuff. I wasn't going to rush out and pay
Yeah,
$60.
no, and I understand. I want to play. I want to play a Zelda game. That's what I'm itching for. And
Yeah.
So you need to play via motion control, which is the OG way to play, or you can play via a new button control. I started out on motion control,
Is it flicking the stick?
flicking the stick. I'll explain that too, because
Skate style.
I actually switch. I started out with motion control because I wanted to experience the game for what it was made for, using the gyroscope of the Joy-Cons. And I would say it is really accurate. And if there's one thing I can say that makes this game way better than what the Wii comparison is that you can calibrate your gyro by pressing a button at any time during the game. You don't have to pause it and go into a menu. You just hit a button and you instantly just.
And in the Wii version, if you remember, you had to like lay down the Wii. You had to lay down the remote for a little bit and let it sit there to calibrate each time. So I did that a lot.
So now you just hit a button and it automatically recalibrates where the gyro is, right into the middle of the screen. So that was super awesome. But then it got to the point where I was like, I'm sick of moving my hand around constantly trying to do this stupid stuff. The Skyward Strike, all this stuff. I was like, this is dumb. So I switched over to the button control. And then I started playing on that. And I was like, oh, this is so much better. Like, this is so much, except there's one major issue. It's when you run a dual analog game, one analog's for movement, and the other one's typically for the camera. Well, when you take away the other one for the camera, guess how you move the camera? By constantly hitting the ZL button, the targeting button. So I constantly have to hit the ZL button to move the camera. And they added a feature where you can move it using motion controls, but it's so backwards and weird that it doesn't make any sense to do. So I'm currently playing this with the button commands while moving it with the ZL button on the Nintendo Pro Controller. It's weird.
Can I ask a question about this game and how the gameplay works?
Yes.
So my understanding is, because Link is just always like this, and then he like does this depending on what you make him do. Is it because sometimes you have to slice this way on enemies and sometimes you have to slice this way?
Yes.
And that's why they kept the stick? Okay, like I know it would be different gameplay, but like why not map the face buttons, certain ones to be vertical?
Sometimes you have to go diagonal, and certain ways you have to like strike up diagonal and strike down diagonal.
So then make it to where you got to pull on the left bumper and press it to do that. I mean, like, they should have done this with buttons. They should have found a way.
I think the problem is this game is severely based on these motion things. Like, there is puzzles and stuff, and sometimes it works great, and sometimes I was screaming mad with the Wii version because it just didn't work.
I will say, being able to constantly recalibrate motion control makes it way easier. Because I like having control of the camera. I really do like having control of the camera.
That's a mega thing to have.
So, but I also like playing on the Pro Controller. I don't want to play with the stupid Joy-Cons, man. Like, that's the part that makes me so. Like, I've tried.
It's a catch-22, and none of it's not really fun either way.
So far, I will say this: the only thing that I have found out is they actually removed Fee constantly popping up in the game.
When they did like the quality of life improvements, which is cool. I mean, once a game has been this long, let's try to improve what didn't work. And I was cracking up. It was like, Fee talks to you less. And it's like, wish that would have been there from the beginning. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. And then they also fixed... Travis, you would lose your mind at this game because... say you pick up a Deku nut, or I don't know what the items were, or like a potion. Well, when you pick them up in the original games, like the Zelda games, it would pick up and it would tell you what they were, like da-na-na-na, and you'd get the thing, right? And then once you pick it up afterwards, it's fine. Like, you already have seen it. Skyward Sword, when you turn the game off and turn it back on, and you picked up the Deku nut or whatever, it would pick up and it would show that screen again every single time if you turn the game off and turn it back on.
Yeah, so they got rid of that. A lot of quality of life improvements. So I will say this, I'm enjoying the game. I want to play it more. I'm about 3 hours in. So I don't have a full synopsis. I thought you two would laugh at that. Yeah, it is weird. It is how do I put this? It's the kind of thing you hide in the basement when the cops show up to your house, kind of thing. Like, you don't want people to know you have it, but you kind of want to experience it, but you don't want people to know.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, I've never played the game, and it has fans. Kenny is a big fan, our buddy Kenny, and I there are people on the internet, they really love the story. I think that it worked for some people. I will say one sequence that I've seen online before, and I watched about it in a YouTube video, was, have you played it before, Jacob?
Mm-mm.
Well, I'll just say there's a sequence where they do a cool thing where it's almost like two worlds at once. and it's kind of like in a desert area. And every time I see that, I'm like, whoa, that's really cool. Like, looks like they were doing something interesting with that.
That's a cool part. And then they have one dungeon at the end I really like, towards like the last 3/4. But I do not like the game. I think I made it very clear, but there's little cool nuggets in there. But I do say this is one of the Zelda games that if this was called Johnny's Adventure and it had not Zelda on it, you wouldn't be seeing a lot of 90s like scores and stuff. I don't think people would dig this game if it didn't have the Zelda. That's my theory.
But see, a lot of people say the story is what transcends the game because it sets up. They say it sets up the Zelda timeline in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
And I say something.
Yeah, say it.
And this goes back to my whole thing about maybe I'm not a Zelda fan. Maybe there's something wrong with me. I think I am because I liked Zelda 1. That was fun. I played it the other day, and I like Ocarina of Time. Majora's Mask is cool, and I like Breath of the Wild. Love all those games. Anytime people start talking about Hyrule Historia, and they start showing me charts, and it is the most contrived like lore I've ever seen in my life. Not natural. You cannot convince me for one moment that any of that was planned.
Yeah.
They put a book together in 2008, and then when Skyward Sword was supposed to be the start, I'm like, get the frick out of here. Like, there's no start to this.
If you read the Hyrule Historia book, there's a part when you get into it when it gets really deep about Zelda 1 or 2. And I'm like, you did make this up a lot. Like, that's when you can see behind the curtain. You're like, okay, like, we don't really need the story. I will say Skyward Sword, in that Hyrule Historia book, as much as I don't like Skyward Sword, I do think it has the best lore. And I think it has a lot of cool stuff in it. I do give it that.
With the timeline in mind.
Yeah, the way they do kind of express that out, it's like, that is cool what they were going for. Don't like the game, but the lore and all that stuff is very cool with, that they go into. I did see one thing that now that people are playing it post Breath of the Wild, a lot of people are like, oh, this game feels like in a post Breath of the Wild world, like Breath of the Wild lets you go everywhere and do this, and their stamina, like they actually introduced stamina in this game. So like some people were like, some of this stuff was there, but it's not like it's done so much better in Breath of the Wild that has kind of aged poorly. Like some of these mechanics and stuff. Because they've kind of really expressed them way better in Breath of the Wild. But
Jacob, you hate Breath of the Wild?
Well, I don't hate it. It's just not the best Zelda. People act like, oh, this is the greatest OG Zelda. It's just like, man, buzz off. Like,
you have a love-hate. I feel like one week you're like, I love Breath of the Wild. It's my bet.
Yeah, there's good parts in it. I went back and played it before I played Skyward Sword. I was like, I'm gonna play. Because it was installing. I was like, I'm gonna play Breath of the Wild real quick. I did a couple things. I was like, yeah, this is cool. Like, I was like, yeah, this is a game. It's open. Everything's open world now. Like, it doesn't appeal to me anymore. It doesn't do the it's all the same.
That open world is not similar to any other open world game on planet Earth.
On.
But part two, what I was gonna say about this was I did see shouts out. Let's give shouts out to Washington Post. I think they actually gave this game a 6 out of 10. But I think whatever scores or whatever. One point that I saw.
When did last time they play a video game?
One point I did.
I follow Gene. I forget his last name. Gene. He's the main video game writer for Washington Post. He's a really good writer.
One point I saw that I was like, whoa, that actually expressed what I feel about this game. Is they said it's a lot of squeezing, little juice. Meaning, Breath of the Wild, like, you have to, like, do some puzzles and do whatever, but, like, you get to explore something and you discover, like, oh, shoot, it's that, and you go over this hill. There's, like, they give you some good rewards in Breath of the Wild, like, exploration-wise. And this sums up, I never thought of it this way, but they were like, Skyward Sword, you have to do this and do this temple and go back here and come back and, like, actually revisit this thing. A lot of squeezing, a little bit of juice. Like, you don't actually feel rewarded as much as you do in Breath of the Wild and other Zelda games. And I was like, I never thought of it that way. But that's the Washington Post opinion. But I was like, that's why maybe I don't like this game. But
here's what we know.
I'm glad you're checking it out, though.
You can play this game soon on a brand new Nintendo Switch model that's coming out.
Yeah.
The OLED model.
Yeah.
Are you boys yes or no?
I'll
right
play
now.
this game when my Switch OLED gets here.
right now, I want to know, Travis, Zach, are you buying this day one?
Never been a more iconic duo than the Switch OLED and the. I will say. Here's what I'll say.
Oh, he's getting it day one.
I was really suspicious. I was not buying that they were going to do a 4K Switch. I thought maybe it'll be a little bit better, but I thought people's expectations of 4K were way out of line because the PS5 doesn't always do 4K. Like, it really doesn't. It does 2K a lot of times on certain games. So I thought people thinking we were going to 4K Switch out of line. But even I was shocked at how little is changing with this revision. I think if you don't have a Switch, this is the Switch to buy. If you do have a Switch, you don't even need to know that this ever came out. It will not affect your life at all. That's my opinion. So no, I'm not going to buy one, but
Zach,
it looks cool.
It is somebody came into our when we did the Hangout stream and said that they were buying this. It's that they don't have a Nintendo Switch. That this is their first Switch, and I was like, that is the person that I think should buy this. Or if you are constantly, if you were like taking trips and like on the airplane or whatever for work, I think you should get this maybe too. If you're always playing the handheld, maybe you want to have like the OLED and you want to have like the bigger screen, whatever. But as far as people that already own the Switch, I don't get it. I do not like see the reason to.
No improvement.
And
it's $50 more, I think, than what, because it's $300 was the Switch's retail, so it's $50 more.
Well,
so
let's be real, there will be a proper upgrade to the Switch in the future. So
yeah,
you're gonna pay $350 out of pocket for like 2
years. Yeah, and that's the thing too. That's why I was let down by this, because there was so much smoke. I think there was fire with whether it be 4K or an upgraded like some type of freaking processor or like the DLSS. Is that what it is?
Yeah, the NVIDIA DLSS.
So that's a system where it kind of like it uses like AI, it does whatever to like up-res 1080p. I thought there was going to be something to that. I know it's handheld, I know it's restricted at times, but I was a little bit let down because there were so many developers, so many people like coming out like these little rumors and stuff. It's like this is going to come out, this is whatever, and then we got hit with this. So I think something is an upgraded Switch, like you said, Travis, is coming. Maybe it's more next year now or something because of COVID. Yeah, who knows? But what killed me though was I want to check out that new Hyrule Warriors for the Switch. But I was seeing people were like, that drops below 30 frames per second a lot in that game, and I was like,
it's better than the Wii U version.
But I was like, between that and Breath of the Wilds, like when you get in that forest, the Lost Forest stuff, it's like, man, like I want to hit. Just give me 30 frames at 720p, like you know what I mean? Like just upgrade the processor just a little bit, and they didn't. So
Nintendo is
bummer
for this,
for being a Nintendo.
And let me give you an example. The Game Boy released. You guys remember the original Game Boy when it came out? Took 4 AA batteries. Lasts up to 15, 12 hours. Gameplay had no backlight. But it was revolutionary. It had a green screen. Revolutionary though, right? So everybody's like, well, they're coming out with another Game Boy. And they came out with the Game Boy Pocket. A smaller Game Boy that runs with 2 AAA batteries, but no screen improvement, and about the same battery life. And everybody's like, why? And then, here's Nintendo's kicker here. Nintendo comes out with the Game Boy Lite, which is a Game Boy Pocket that has a backlight, but it only comes out in Japan only.
Yeah.
It isn't until 10 years later that the Game Boy Color comes out without a backlight, but now comes in color. Nintendo just does weird things, dude.
Yeah.
I think we have to learn that you're not going to get what Xbox and Sony does. Like, you're not going to get Microsoft Sony levels when it comes to the Nintendo.
You never will. And there is always...
GameCube. Yeah. They took the GameCube and they were like, wow, this didn't sell well. Motion controls. They made a GameCube with motion controls and called it a game console. Sold millions.
There is always this like little man syndrome from Nintendo, like internet culture of like they want the next big thing, and it's like that's just kind of, you don't get that with this company. And I appreciate you breaking down that iterations on the handhelds, because that same pattern has followed through. Game Boy Advance, no backlight. Game Boy Micro, Game Boy Advance Micro, Game Boy Advance SP was good, but like I feel like 1 out of every 3 or 4 of their iterations are actually good, and they're never processing changes. I think that the 3DS maybe had a slight bump in performance with one of their upgrades.
It's the
but
new,
what they do,
one.
the other thing is though, when they make the new models, they don't like when the PS4 Pro came out, Sony was pushing the PS4 Pro, and like they were like, if you have a PS4, this is worth upgrading for. I don't think Nintendo really has done that. Like it's always like, here's like another kind of edge case, here's another one, and they release a little bit and the enthusiasts upgrade and sell their old ones to other people. And I feel like that's what they're doing. Like they're not looking for the next big smash hit right now. They're just trying to release a little refresh.
Install base. That's all it is.
But I did see for this one, I was seeing on Twitter the pre-orders. Like I even like at one point, like the other day, it was like, oh, pre-orders are up or whatever, and I clicked it and I could still get one. Like they're still up at some places and whatever. But so if you want one,
scalpers aren't touching that.
Yeah, there you go.
It's not a graphics card, so make a figure.
Video games though, but you know what? I wanted to play more video games, but something happened last week. I fricked up my hand bad. I've talked about them before. I think it was for my birthday. I mentioned it. For my birthday, my parents got me a One Wheel. Look it up, One Wheel. It's like a skateboard with it's a ginormous like tire in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So, I was
right. Tire.
It's got one tire. It's one tire. So
hurt?
I got fricked up. I got hurt probably the worst fall I've taken in my life. I'm 30 years old and I never injured myself like this when I was even a kid.
The One Wheel.
I can ride this thing. I'll ride this thing. Like I'll park it. Like I'll go to a park or whatever, get this thing out, and I'll ride into neighborhoods and just get lost. Like find sidewalks and try to like get lost on this thing. And what'll happen is it'll send you a notification to my phone or to my watch. And it'll say, because it's connected to like your devices, and it'll say, "Hey, you're at 50%. Time to head back." Which makes sense because it's like it took you 50% to get there. Like maybe head back to get so you don't die your thing and you have to lug around because it's very heavy.
Oh, so it's electric.
It's electric. Yeah. And I'll explain it more and stuff. Like, so this thing,
okay.
Yeah, so it is a like skateboard with grip tape on either side, tires in the middle. And when you lean forward on it, it goes. And when you lean back, you can kind of see, spoiler alert, I don't know if you can take the stomach for this or if I should blur it, but there's a preview. There's a pre-order. You lean forward, whatever, you lean back, and it breaks. What happens with this thing, when I'm riding around, I'm like riding on smooth pavement, I'm going up roads or whatever. If you hit 10 to 13 miles per hour, and you can actually see it too on your phone, like the speedometer, how fast you're going, 10 to 13, it does something called a kickback. It will automatically kind of lift the nose, and it won't let you go faster. So I've been riding for weeks that way, like almost like I'm just riding almost in a manual, like a slight, like barely like kind of a manual. It's like barely slanting back, and it keeps at a constant pace, and I'm rolling up and around fine. Eventually doing this for a while, I said, I want to go a little bit faster. So I looked up online, and people were saying you can bypass that kickback by pressing forward, like leaning and kind of like bypassing it. People are like, that'll work and you can actually go a little bit faster. So I was going down the middle of this. It was smooth as butter, new blacktop. Down long stretch of a neighborhood, like this long street. There's just no cars, whatever. So I'm flying on this thing. And it does the kickback. And I go, no. And I start to lean forward. And I start to feel it get a little faster. Like, oh, I'm bypassing. I want to get to 20 or whatever. So I do get to 20, but what happens is I'm like pressing a little harder or whatever, trying to whatever, and it locks. And the front end goes completely down. Because what the board does is it keeps you...
I couldn't even...
Siri, shut the frick up. It keeps you like balanced. That's what the thing does. It keeps you balanced like this way. This way or this way, you're just kind of like leaning and turning. That's how you turn. So, but this thing is supposed to, like, its job is to keep you, and it does an amazing job, like, keeping you steady. But if you press too hard, you're going to break the resistance it's trying to, like, balance you on. And that's what happened. I went like this, I was like this, and the front end went down. And I'm going at 20 miles per hour.
Did you just go flying?
I hit the thing, and I went flying, and what caught my whole weight, I don't know if you can see it on the camera that well.
Yeah, it's bruised, man.
But from right here all the way up my front and on the back of my hand, this is like, I look like the zombies in Ocarina of Time or whatever.
Yeah.
This little, I look like the Walking Dead cast member. It is just like, I'm just fricked up. My whole weight went into my hand.
Oh, yeah.
This got scratched up. My knees are fricked up. Yeah. So I've never felt like that before. I get up from falling like that, and the first thing is like my hand, I can feel it. Like I know my hand is hurt, and I start to kind of bend it for a second, but I know like I need to get home. I need to like get. Luckily, I was right near my car. I was just going around this neighborhood. I had a little bit of juice left or whatever. But I stand up and I'm like, oh, is my hand broke? I don't know yet. So I get back on the board. And actually, when I'm about to get back on the board, I'm like, have you ever like got hurt or like hit your knee and you're like, I'm doing that all the way to the car because I am bleeding. I am like fricked up everywhere. But the other thing is, this is the first time I've ever fallen. And when I got back, like I had to get back on the board, I had to like get down there the fastest way. I get back on it, whatever. And I am nauseous. And I'm like having to like psych myself up, like just get to the freaking car. Like do not puke on this thing, like fall again or whatever. But like I'm nauseous. My body is like taking so much like trauma just now. So I get to the car. I get an x-ray that night. Thankfully there was nothing broken or whatever on it. But as you can see, like I cannot grip stuff. Like, or I cannot like when this happened, I couldn't do a full like fist. Now I can. Now I can. Now I can do all this. Man. But like as far as like if I can't play video games because the thumb, like I cannot press down on like the analog stick if I need to like run in certain third person games. I can't do it. This like hurts so bad to like press into right now. So
I think it's about time for you to play some PC games with just a mouse.
Yeah, I literally feel there is a Twilight Zone episode. Spoilers for this Twilight Zone episode, an old classic episode where this guy just wanted to read books and his boss was on him. He worked at a library. He's like, I just want to read the books. Goes down in the basement of this library and the atomic bomb goes off and destroys the world. He comes back up and he's like, oh my gosh, like now I don't have to worry about books. I have all like the stuff and material and food and whatever. And he goes to read, like he has the whole library and the books are still there. And he goes in there and he like starts to like sit down to do that and his glasses fall off and they shatter in the step. So he goes, no, he can't read the books. Now he has all the time in the world. So that's what I feel like. Like I have all the time in the world, but I can't like, because I'm injured, but I cannot play video games. So
sucks, man.
That is my gaming curse.
One wheel. Go get a one wheel.
But I'll only make that mistake one time. You'll only do that once where you'll press too hard on the front. You won't do it again.
20 miles because that wasn't
it's
very fast.
It's fast. It is very fast. When I fell, I slid for a while. It was freaking brutal.
You left a piece of you on that pavement.
Yeah, I think there was neighbors the next morning. Honey, there's a little gamer boy skin out there. But you had to like intentionally do that. So like I know that's a mistake you'll make once in your life. So
yeah, that's crazy.
That's my gaming for this month is don't do that, please.
Wow.
That's wild.
Well, what news do we have?
So you guys ever heard of Netflix?
I have.
Yeah, you guys ever? Yeah, I don't know if you guys ever heard of Netflix or not. Apparently, it's a big deal. Apparently, they want to look into video games.
Yeah, so this story first came out and I was just like, okay, this just seems like something like this is on, and they're going to try someday. But then more stuff kind of came out and I think people like did some data mining and Ghost of Tsushima is in there or something. Somebody found that.
They found Ghost of Tsushima and data related to DualSense controllers.
Yeah. So it sounds like is this kind of like a Game Pass thing and you like it's through your Netflix account and there's going to be a gaming section? I don't know how this is going to work yet. Like, like what's it going to be? Are you down?
And more notably, is Sony involved in this?
They might not even know.
Hearing about Well,
Game
yeah,
Pass.
that's happened before. I remember when Sony, like corporate Sony, not video game Sony, signed a deal with corporate Xbox or corporate Microsoft for like using their Azure servers, and the head of PlayStation and the head of Xbox was like, "We didn't know about this." Like,
Yeah, maybe they don't know about it
Sony-
yet.
maybe they don't.
But that sounds really interesting, and I wonder if like is Disney going to jump in, or are you going to get like Epic Mickey 3? Like you're going to play it through Disney Plus? Like who knows?
I think this is a clear indication that cloud gaming is becoming more and more relevant.
Yeah.
And I think it's just one of those things you have to recognize. I actually saw a review the other day. A guy reviewed Stadia and Luna side by side. He just wanted to talk about what they look like and what they have to offer and all the things. And he said, if you were a 50-year-old dad and you were buying your game for your 14-year-old son and you saw this and you bought it, yeah, they wouldn't even notice. He's like, that's how close it is. He's like, as long as you have good internet, you wouldn't even notice. Now, if you're somebody who plays games to the source, you're going to notice. It's going to be like a few seconds, but it's not the end of the world. You'll just notice some drops here and there and different things like that. And that's how close streaming's getting. It's getting there. And even though Google and Luna doesn't have the jump mode world's biggest install bases, Netflix does.
Yeah. And I think it's a point where it's good enough. Like you said, we're going to notice and we're going to complain about it on our little old man yelling at the cloud podcast like right now. But I think Travis has talked about this a ton of like, hey, if my mom wants to check out like Xbox, she's never going to buy the console and set it up and whatever. But if it's like on her phone or whatever, but I think this takes it a step even closer to people like that. My parent, like if my dad looked on the Netflix tab and saw gaming and it was just there and he could like pick up the next Call of Duty or something, I think he'll do it. You know what I mean? Like if it's just as easy as that and it's like, okay, I just have to like whatever and get a controller or whatever. Like
our hobby is about to fundamentally change, I think.
Yeah. That's kind of cool. So
it's gonna be very interesting. And again, if it's anyone, Netflix has the capital.
Yeah.
Google has the money. Netflix has money. I mean, they can throw it at this. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something. I think it's kind of cool. I'm actually for this because you see The Witcher coming to. You see Castlevania. You already see some of this mixture of gaming and shows.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me that Netflix is interested in bringing gaming to its platform.
That means HBO is going to get Last of Us too, because they're doing the show right now.
I think comic books really like finally started becoming movies. I mean, they were movies for a long time, but they weren't any good. And then you had Superman and Batman in the 80s, but that was kind of it. But like obviously the last 20 years with Dark Knight, Marvel stuff, X-Men stuff, Spider-Man, they really hit their stride. I feel like video games are kind of going to be the next frontier for movies and TV in terms of intellectual property they can go grab. And I think that they're going to finally start figuring it out because The Witcher show has been good, which is a book originally. Like you said, the Castlevania show. There were talks about like a Zelda anime made through Netflix at one point. I don't know if that's still happening.
I heard that got canceled. There's rumors that got canceled because they leaked it. Netflix or whatever, like before it was ready, and Nintendo got mad and pulled it. It sounds very Nintendo. So
that's too realistic to be not true. But there's a Last of Us show in the works. I just think that with HBO and it's getting a lot of good backing, and so I don't know. I just think that that's kind of gonna be I think that's gonna be someone can make a Marvel Cinematic Universe level thing out of some of these video game properties.
Yeah.
I'm shocked we've never seen a Call of Duty movie. I don't want one. I don't care, but I'm shocked we've never.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, just watch Saving Private Ryan.
No one gets Call of Duty for the story. Let's just be honest.
I know, but like, I just am shocked with the name recognition. That's never happened.
I guess you're right.
We got a Hitman movie. I mean, like, why did we get a Hitman movie, but we didn't get a?
You might get a movie on the people who make Call of Duty. It might be a documentary after some of this stuff comes out.
Probably.
Well, yeah, probably. There probably will be.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to say.
I'm not buying the OLED Switch. Sorry, but I'm going to buy the actual Switch we should have got, the Steam Deck. Actually, I'm not going to buy the Steam Deck, but it's cool. And I think Jacob, you're actually getting the Steam Deck.
I'm very interested in.
Okay.
The Steam Deck.
Did you pre-order it?
I have not pre-ordered. There's plenty of pre-orders still available.
Yeah.
I'm not I think the thing that interests me more than anything is because I do have a lot of Steam games that I sit there and I'm like, I wish I could just sit on my couch and play. And for me, I have the Steam Link, but I don't know why. The Steam Link isn't quite like up to snuff to just bring it over to my couch. I don't know, Travis, you've experienced the same thing I'm experiencing with it.
I don't really use mine anymore, and the big turning point was when I really got a 4K TV. I started playing games in 4K on my TV. That thing is limited to 1080p. And so anything I play on my PC to stream to my TV, it's going to be capped at 1080p. It could be 4K downscaled to 1080p, and I just never have messed with it since, I moved and got married, and I've just never really messed with it. But
I'm a big proponent of Steam for a number of reasons, because there's a lot of games on there that people just make and put out there that just kind of fit my wheelhouse. And I'm actually I'm gonna name a couple. I've been playing a game. I wasn't going to talk about it, but now we're talking about Steam. I've been playing a game called Police Simulator. A really stupid police simulating game where you're literally a cop. You start your shift off at 8 a.m. You get off the clock at 8 p.m. and you walk the streets and you do cop things. I detain people. I say, hey, why'd you litter? They tell me why.
You wind up on the news?
Yeah, like all kinds of stuff. I decide if I want to. I tased a guy. First time ever I didn't fire my taser. But it was like 7 days of my shift. The guy had red eyes, and I saw him have red eyes. And I was like, hey, I need to search you. And he ran away from me. And I was like, so I chased him down. He wouldn't comply. I gave him a warning. I tased his butt. Put him on the ground. I put him in cuffs. Found out he had marijuana on him. I arrested him. I did what a cop would do. I have not fired my gun yet. We're not there yet. So we're not that far into it. But I play that kind of stuff. I play a game.
You're not that far into it. You haven't got to the nationwide crisis level in the police.
No, not yet.
Okay.
But I play games, for example, like Rocket League. I play Age of Empires quite a bit. I play 60 seconds. I play a lot of weird Steam games because I really like them and they're cheap. But I don't ever have time to sit down at my computer and do it.
Yeah.
I would like to sit on my couch and do it.
I think this thing is actually really cool. And
it's expensive.
It is pretty pricey, but it runs Steam OS, but you can install Windows on it, which means Nintendo has still not added any N64, GameCube, Wii, or Wii U games onto the Switch. So now you can do it yourself through an emulator on your Steam Deck. That's the way to actually get a Switch Pro. That's how you're going to play the Switch Pro.
So I am very interested in getting one of these. Am I going to get one right off the rip? Not quite, but I'm getting there pretty close. So I don't know. I'm interested. I want to check it out, but it's going to be one of those things where maybe I'll wait a little bit longer to see what the views are on it.
As a big fan of the Steam controller, I'm kind of interested in checking it out. I don't use my gaming PC enough at this point in my life to maybe justify another piece of hardware, but that Steam controller and the Steam Link, they reached a point where they started selling those things off fire sale. I bought 2 Steam Links because they were $5, and I was like,
yeah, that's what I got mine for. I got 2 of them.
I was like, I feel like this is worth having a couple extra ones. I bought an extra controller when they went down to $5. So
I don't want to wait, but they haven't even put the Valve on sale like that. They haven't even put the Valve on sale for $100 off. And that's the thing that kind of takes me off. I got that I want the Valve. But
I think this thing will be for smaller games too, Jacob, like you were saying, because when Call of Duty is 800,000 gigabytes, how big is the storage? Is it going to take that?
I don't think Call of Duty, I think you're messing up.
Yeah,
now, some people they might buy this thing and play The Witcher on it because it will look great compared to the Switch version. And some people love The Witcher so much that the idea of them sitting in an airport or being on a plane and being able to play The Witcher sounds amazing. Yeah. And playing it at a good quality.
You're kind of selling me on this thing. And it's got
Dark Souls on the go at a good resolution.
It does what Nintendo don't.
Yeah, that's what Sega's coming back.
And I do have a lot of Steam games.
Zach, man, bless us. You got to hear.
I stayed up for the listening party to Kanye West's Donda album. The much awaited, much talked about.
When does this release?
Today. It's actually still not out. It's still not out.
No, that's what I mean. Kanye sucks at this, dude.
He's done this 2 times now, multiple times, but he had the listening party, which he just plays the album for the first time. But what's funny is it started at 8, it actually went up at like 10, 9:30 or 10. He showed up late, and all it was everybody was packed in a theater, and it was him in a red coat walking around the middle of this theater. Very Kanye, but I liked it. I really like the album, but we still don't actually have it. But
I just heard everybody saying we're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay.
Yeah, he says that a lot. But that's Kanye. It's Kanye West.
I'll listen to this album when it drops. I will check it out.
Well, luckily it's already out. That's what he said. It was going to be out, but
I can't find it yet. It's not on iTunes.
It's not out yet. But
he sucked. Maybe he's still asleep.
I feel like Kanye should work at Nintendo because they both do wackadoo thing. They do stuff that's like not quite what you want and not quite what you need when you need it, but it's always great. It's always fun. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Their
You're
comparison.
not wrong for that one.
Travis, what the heck is your surprise? We have on the notes thing. There's a Travis surprise.
Here's the surprise. The other day, I was just kind of checking out what's going on YouTube, and I see something that says EA Play Madden 22 live stream.
Okay.
And if you follow this podcast, you know I am a staunchly
Oh my gosh.
adamant anti-Madden person.
About to say.
ESPN 2K5 is the greatest football game ever made. New Madden sucks. I would rather play a game from 2005 than play it. But they did a live stream, and I was like, I'm gonna watch. Let's see what they got.
That's where they get you.
Off forever.
That's where they get you.
And I don't know if I trust these guys, but they had some guys on there, and they're doing a lot with franchise mode. They're doing a lot with franchise mode. You can now. What?
What was the last Madden you played? Just so I know perspective.
Played or owned?
Played. Like in a franchise.
I played. Oh, in a franchise? Oh gosh. Probably 2016 with Antonio Brown.
Keep talking.
So, the first thing that they've changed is the whole game in franchise has always been like you build out your roster, build it out. In the new one, you have 2 tracks. You build out your roster, and you build out your coaching staff, from like head coach to coordinators, position coaches. They have names. You pay them salaries, and you invest points in them. And then you pick players you want them to focus on. So you've got basically 2 rosters. You've got your player roster and you've got your coach roster, and you're investing in the coaches who stay with you long term. And then you assign them to really look after certain players. And so there's a deeper systems type thing going on to where you could be like, oh, this wide receiver, he wants a lot of money. So I'm going to have he's good already. I'm going to have the wide receiver coach focus on this younger wide receiver and build him up this year. And then I'm going to cut the other wide receiver. Like there's higher levels of strategy that they're adding, and they've redone scouting to be like, you have 4 region scouts, and they cut up the United States into 4 regions, and you assign them to the different regions. You tell them which players you want to go to pro days and all this different stuff. And you get like these mock drafts that come out throughout the year. And so they've done a lot to franchise mode. I don't know. I'm thinking about maybe keeping an eye on the reviews. I don't know if I'm going to buy it because I am still very anti-Madden, but I got to give credit where credit's due. It looks like this is my surprise. They have put some effort into franchise. It only took them 20 freaking years.
You know what I've learned from watching this podcast of 2017 is everything we talk about that we hate, we always come back to loving. So in a year, when I have a Skyward Sword shirt on and I'm like, the game's awesome, like, just know that we just end up being, we end up loving what we don't like. Or Destiny. Destiny.
I don't think I'm getting this one. I say that, and I might end up getting
it.
Jacob, for online franchise, I know this will matter to you. They added commissioner controls.
Yeah, no duh. They promised that in the last one, and they never gave it to us. But here's the kicker, dude. I'm not even gonna go. You know what? Keep looking into it. Talk to me when it comes out. We'll move on.
Well, I don't feel like talking to anybody. I still want 2K to get the license back. So I'm gonna, if I buy this, it's gonna be used, gritting my teeth. I hate EA. I hate the Madden Ultimate Team. I hate they just.
It is, and we just want to play football. That's all it is. We just want to play a football game. That's the thing that ticks me off about it.
But anyway. I'm gonna wait and see what some of the reviewers I trust say. Some of the people that are big people holding Madden accountable. So we'll wait and see.
Let me talk through something. I have watched one TV show.
Okay.
Just one.
Okay.
I finally watched Michael Jordan's documentary, The Last Dance.
That was awesome. That thing rolled.
I finally got to watch it. I haven't watched it yet. I knew about Michael Jordan, but watching it and just living out that team, it's watching like what he.
Yeah, that made me a basketball fan. That thing rolled.
Yeah, I was like, man, this is awesome. Like Michael Jordan is an OG.
Yeah.
Like, and if he didn't go play baseball, he would undoubtedly be GOAT. Like it would be without a single indication in my mind. The only thing this helped re-solidify was like he had some really good talent around him in Scottie Pippen.
Yeah.
I always talk about how like Scottie Pippen is never talked about this as much as he should be.
Yeah, and Dennis Rodman.
Well, Dennis Rodman is more of a an interesting.
He was
person.
a force. He was a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I think all of those three, like you couldn't touch them. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think the problem of the LeBron versus Michael debate is Michael was flashier and he had a run that can't be matched, but LeBron has been the Jesus of basketball since he was 15 years old, and the dude is literally a specimen, and he scores at a higher rate. He has like quadrupled certain metrics that Michael put up, and his longevity. Michael did not have LeBron's longevity. So it's kind of that argument of like pure excellence at the sport itself that LeBron has in longevity versus the absolute box office, unbelievable, larger than life vision of Michael Jordan dunking, with his legs wide open and winning 7 in a row or whatever it was. I think there's an argument to be made for both.
And I'd always say like LeBron's hands down my opinion. I always used to think like he was the GOAT. After watching this, there was a part where Kobe was talking, and it really put this in perspective to me because I haven't heard Kobe say this before. But Kobe was like, we were in the All-Star game, and Jordan kept doing this weird left-right step turnaround shot, and it really stuck to me. And after the game, I was talking to him, and he's like, call me whenever you need something. And from then on, people always say, like, who would win in a 1v1, Kobe or Michael? And he said, Kobe wouldn't be who he was if it wasn't for Michael.
Mm.
And Michael never had to say that about anyone else. Like, Michael Jordan he just did it. And which I'm sure he had people that, like, he kind of, like, watched and learned from. But Kobe, who is also considered to be one of the all-time greatest basketball players, had that to say about Michael Jordan. It kind of helps elevate the plane of, like, his greatness.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes from that is when he would push people like go, like he would be almost coaching them during the practice. But one funny thing, he was like, Michael Jordan didn't ask anybody to do what Michael Jordan wasn't doing. All right, you know what I mean? Like I love that. That was correct.
I think my favorite quote was he took everything personally.
Yeah,
He's like, I took it personally.
And I took that personally. That's become a meme. And I took that personally.
I took that personally. It was like, this dude took a lot of things personally. So it was a great documentary.
It was great. I highly recommended for non-basketball fans and definitely for basketball fans. So.
You guys should check it out.
I got halfway through it. I need to finish it.
Oh, dude, you haven't finished it? Hey, I'll
tell you now. Michael Jordan would get on you. He would take that personally.
Dennis Rodman. If I was on a team with Dennis Rodman, I would have a panic attack. I
got to the episode where he was going off the rails and like, he needed to go disappear for like however long.
He tells Phil Jackson, "Hey, I need to go disappear." And Phil's like, "For how long?" And he's like, "Just a little bit." And Phil said, "But Jordan said, don't let him go." Because Jordan's like, "I know if he lets him go, we're not getting him back." Phil's like,
Phil Jackson's an amazing leader. I love what he said. He's like, some people are different, and you got to know where to let them be different. And he let him just go AWOL. Like
he let him leave. He's like, you got 2 days. They don't see him for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
like Jordan's sitting there like, I told you, like the entire time. Oh, that's golden. Oh, holy crap! You're not wrong. Hey, Phil Jackson, that dude's a genius.
Yeah.
He really is. He gets people. He knows how people work.
Yeah, I watched a couple TV shows. One of them was a reality show called The Circle. Jacob, you like reality TV? Have you seen this?
No, Scroll past
Netflix
it,
show.
and I have not watched it.
It's a Netflix show. Jess and I watched it. Basically, the concept is these people like live in this apartment building in different rooms, and they can't ever see each other. And they have this like fake social media called The Circle.
Oh, I've heard of this.
And like if they're in this, and the whole goal is like they have to become the most popular player, and they always like the most popular players become influencers every episode and get to block people. And so what I found fascinating about it was some people came in and were themselves. Some people came in and they were catfishes. They were not themselves. There was a guy that came in playing as a girl, and he got added to like these group chats with the girls. It's just like goofy fun. But something I liked about the show was with a concept like that, you could see them going really negative with it and like really like bring in really trashy people that just, talk a bunch of trash. And Jess and I we got like 8 episodes into it, and we were just like, these people are all just kind of like getting along. And it's more like cringy of like, oh my God, this person thinks he's building a really good friend with this girl, and this girl is a guy. And this guy does not give a crap. He's just talking to her. But like nobody was mean. There wasn't any like the drama stuff. It was a good show. It was a lot of fun. It was just like a cool show to see some different personalities and stuff. And it gave me one of my favorite TikToks ever. There is a hilarious TikTok of this like Italian bro dude just screaming because they ask him this question about the Jonas Brothers.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
I don't know the Jonas Brothers, but then he knew the answer. Like it's a funny, goofy show. Watch that, and I finished last week. I think was the last episode, Loki, which is the Marvel show about
Loki.
I guess it's about Loki, but it's about a lot of things. And I did just want to make the statement. After this show, when they first announced they were doing shows, I was like, I wonder if these shows are going to really matter. Like, I wonder if you're going to be able to just watch some movies and skip the shows. And I felt like for WandaVision, I was like, this feels pretty self-contained. You'd probably be fine if you didn't watch it. Maybe a little confused, whatever. Falcon and Winter Soldier, I was like, I think it'd be fine. This one, I don't know how anybody is going to... This show, like, Thanos snap level stuff happened in this show that, like, changes that entire, I would say universe, but all of the universes now. And it looks like the movies that are coming up are going to be really wacky. I think Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is going to be back in the new Spider-Man movie. But, Jacob, are you going to watch Loki?
Seen it yet. I normally wait till they all come out and I binge it.
Binge this. You need to go watch it. It's really good.
Okay.
Really fun show. It's only 6 episodes. I really, really liked it a lot. It was really good. So they're
Cool.
3 for 3 for me on the shows, and they've all been really different and unique. So it's been good. Oh, and I went and saw Black Widow. Speaking of movies, that movie is not that good.
Is it worse than Captain Marvel?
I liked Captain Marvel, so I think it's worse than Captain Marvel, but I liked Captain Marvel.
Is it worse than Age of Ultron?
I think it's worse. I like Age of Ultron too. So, I think it's worse.
Wow. Okay. Well, I don't know if you're watching the right Marvel movies, but okay.
Is it worse than Skyward Sword?
I never played Skyward Sword. Here's what I'll say about Black Widow. It's not like cringy bad or anything. Like it's a competent action movie. Florence Pugh plays the Black Widow chick's sister. She was really good in the movie. She was funny. There were some good heartfelt moments. The dad is played by this guy, David something, but he is extremely funny. He plays like this Russian, like fat Russian guy that was the Russian equivalent to Captain America, but like the Russian government put him in like a gulag for 30 years to like hide him away. So he's just like fat and out of shape, and he's like super like, it's just a great foil to the Captain America character. He's really funny. The movie, the core of it being this like group of people that it's like it's the Black Widow, this other girl, and a dad and a mom. They basically are not family, but they were made to be family by these spies to go be this like spy family. And then they all got pulled apart when the kids were young. And now for reasons they're coming back together. And so there are really good like character moments that are really like interesting and fun and funny and that I really liked. But the bigger story is just dumb. It is just extremely dumb. The plot is very dumb. It takes place during Civil War. So it felt very hamstrung to what happens in Civil War. Like the first scene of this movie is like, here we're taking a side story off in the middle of Civil War, and then the end of this movie like ties back to Civil War, and it's just kind of like, these movies, they're connected enough at being in the same world. They don't need to start setting these at the same time. I think that's not a great route. So I didn't like the movie that much. I didn't hate it. I walked out with a smile on my face. I had fun, but I didn't, I didn't think that it worked as a standalone movie the way most of their movies should. So, yeah.
All right.
And leftover season 3 review from Travis. Go.
The trailer looks good. I got to finish season 2.
We'll get there, guys. We're trying. Okay, what's the promises this month so we can hear it for next month? What's the promise?
The next episode I gotta watch. The next episode I gotta watch is the one with the past.
Yeah, that's where we were last time. Gosh, I feel like Kanye West freaking putting out Donda. Jeezo, Pizzo. You're gonna come out in a red jacket and just come out in circles. It's like, have you watched it yet, Travis?
Oh, hey, I watched one other thing. Really, really good documentary. I'm about halfway through it on Netflix called This Is Pop. Basically, it's like little mini documentaries where they examine different parts of pop music history.
Oh, that's cool.
The first one was about this group from the 80s called Boys to Men, who I didn't really know a lot about, but they were a group of like these black, really, really good singers, young kids, from Philadelphia, and they were the first boy band. Like they were the first boy band, and they were the biggest thing in the world. And then they got kind of like ripped off by Backstreet Boys. Like they literally they found a Backstreet Boys casting sheet, and it was like, we want to make a Boys for Men or Boys to Men,
Boys for Men,
play, like for your kids, that you could play for your kids, kind of a thing. And they get into a little bit of like, Boys to Men was one of the first like rap R&B singing groups that got big on the pop charts, because for a long time there were R&B charts that black artists were on, there were pop charts that white artists were on, and they were like the first ones that like they went up the R&B and then they moved over to the pop. And they talked a lot about that. It was a really good. They did a whole episode on auto-tune and the history of that tool and like how it got used in the 80s a little bit.
That's fun.
And then how T-Pain like took it and just like ran with it. And they really do a deep dive on him. He had a lot of depression because people hated on him so much.
Yeah, I saw the snippet on TikTok where Usher said, "You run to music" or something like. Yeah, with auto-tune. This is from. And it's like, no, he's just having fun. He found something, he just ran with it. I think that's really fun for him to have done that.
And that episode's really good. That's what that's from. He said, "Yeah, Usher pulled me back to the back of the plane and told me I ruined music."
Yeah, it's like, shut up, Usher. You ruin music, Usher. I'm gonna usher you off.
Yeah. And that episode was good. And then I also watched something really fascinating, and I didn't know this. A lot of popular music is written by Swedish people, and they dive into why that is, why there's so many really, 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 really good production houses in Sweden. It started with ABBA, and then it kind of went down. But to the extent that like Hit Me Baby One More Time, that was written by all these Swedish guys. Like, and Britney Spears came out there and just was like, I want to sing about this. And they were like, okay. And then they wrote this song with her, and then they released it. Backstreet Boys, all their first albums were all in Sweden. Ariana Grande, Adele, like all of these modern, like Katy Perry, like California Girls, Teenage Dream, all this stuff is all made in Sweden. These people fly out to Sweden and they make this music. And so that's really fascinating. They talk about why Sweden's culture is so conducive to making pop music. And then this blew my mind.
What are they drinking over there?
Well, it's a really good episode. I highly I finished watching. I was like, I want to go write music. Like, this was just so cool. But Ludwig Göransson is a composer, and I know him because he composed the Mandalorian theme music, which is very like iconic. And he also composed the Black Panther score. So I just always knew him as a composer. But they bring him on in here and they're like, yeah, Ludwig, he's a really good composer. He's also one half of Childish Gambino. He has made every single Childish Gambino song with Childish Gambino since Childish Gambino started.
Wow.
So the guy that does the Mandalorian soundtrack also does all of Childish Gambino's music. And I was just like, my mind was shattered. I was like, what? How is that the same person? And even Gambino's albums are very different album to album, but he is his main creative partner. Like Childish Gambino is him and Donald Glover together. That's why he doesn't go by Donald Glover. It's a group. It's the two of them. And so This Is Pop on Netflix. Really, really a very good documentary series that I highly recommend. So
cool. The Hankathon continued. I want to rush through 2 of these, talk them real quick, and then I have to tell you a very, very funny part in one of these Hank movies. I don't know if it was supposed to be this funny, but me and my wife were dying laughing. So I watched Big from Tom Hanks, where Tom Hanks goes up to one of those, those like fortune teller, like arcade machines. He goes up to one and he says, I want to be big. He I don't know, like he wanted this girlfriend at the beginning of the movie. He's like 12 years old, this kid or whatever. The girl has a boyfriend. He gets upset. Like stuff's not working out for him. He goes up to this like machine. He's like, it's like, make a wish. And he's like, I want to be big. But then like something messes up or it looks weird and he looks over and the machine's not even plugged in. Oh shoot. He wakes up, he's Tom Hanks.
I love that movie, man.
And I've never seen this movie and it's a good time, but it's like he has the mind of a 12-year-old and he's Tom Hanks. So there is a part in this movie. This is also very funny. We actually were Googling it afterwards because we were like, me and my wife were like, is this okay? There's a part in the movie, he finds a girl, he gets a job at this place and he gets to like make toys and do stuff. So he's extremely good at it because he's a 12-year-old. So like there's this girl in the office and notices him and they start dating. But he's 12 years old and she's like 20, 30, whatever. They start dating and there's a part in the movie where it goes back to the house or whatever. There's a lot of winking and nodding. Like they're gonna do stuff. And the next scene is Tom Hanks comes out of the elevator smiling and laughing and like, hey, how you doing, Charles? Whatever. And it's like it's hinted at that he had sex. And it's like, he's 12 years old. That woman is a pedophile. Like that's what the movie is. So I Googled it and they said that everyone on the cast, this was back in the 80s, and they said no one asked any questions about this when this was on the script. It was a different time, and that's what she says. Like, if this ever gets remade, of course, don't put that part in. But in the 80s, like, this was not even no one thought to even mention it.
It actually is funny. It's kind of a weird trope thing. So Big inspired a lot of these, like, kid becomes an adult.
Yeah.
Kid becomes a millionaire. It inspired a lot of copycats. And there's one I had as a kid called Blank Check.
Yeah.
So the story of that movie was this kid,
Yeah.
some dumb thing. Like he gets a check, but it's from, I don't know how this even worked, but he basically writes that it's from Macintosh and then he cashes it for like $1 million. And he's buying all this stuff. But there's this FBI agent who's a woman in the movie and she's assigned to go investigate him. And she does. And he's got like a crush on her, but like she hangs out with him like she's his girlfriend because she's investigating him. But they do like a romantic subplot where this kid is 12 and this woman is 35. Like she is like an adult woman. Like and like they like, if I remember correctly, there's like a date scene and then like she's in a dress, he's in a suit, they're getting picked up by a car and like I think they kiss and they kind of like do a hint at like at the end of the movie, like it all gets resolved and the bad guy gets whatever removed. But like, it's like wink, wink, hint, hint. Like I'm still around for when you get like, they don't say it, but it's like there the whole time of like, this is a kid. That's a woman. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And
I think what's funny is like, and I'm about to brag on Japan. Sorry, you're doing your Olympics thing. I think that like we outgrew that stuff. Like, oh, that's not right. Like maybe those are kids. Japan still has all these animes where it's like 14-year-old girls and stuff and they're like sexualized or whatever. And it's like they still do that stuff. And it's like we realize like, it was a different time, whatever. We moved on and whatever.
Still a thing there.
Watched The Green Mile, which an incredible movie. It's directed by Frank Darabont, who did The Shawshank Redemption, one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah. But that movie, like, we were cracking up. We were saying that I looked at my wife and I was like, this is a movie for like my grandparents, like because it has a lot of virtues. It's like be honorable, be this, you know what I mean? Like do the right, like there's a lot of honor and respect and stuff going on in that movie. It's like this is like kind of a boomer movie. You know what I mean? It's a boomer movie. Yeah. But that movie is extremely, extremely explicit at times. Like, there's a prisoner that says the most heinous things. It's supposed to be the bad guy, but he goes, like, overboard. It is so... And Shawshank Redemption is kind of like that, too, where it's, like, the most heinous, like, things are talked about and whatever else. It's like, ugh. But, very sad movie. Like, I was tearing up. I forgot. Like, I remember this movie was kind of tough to get through, but... Still sad, confirmed all these years later.
I've never seen it. Is that the one where there's kind of like an execution scene?
Yeah. And that movie still made me kind of sick to my stomach with all those scenes and stuff. But this movie is very heinous in certain parts, but really love that movie. But I want to talk about the Da Vinci Code trilogy. We went back to back and just watched all these. Finished the Da Vinci Code. That was a cool, like... And then we talked about it, like, at first it was like, oh, why were people saying, like, this is against the church? It is very, like, there's somebody that gets, like, there's demonic stuff and all this other crazy stuff, and somebody's, like, naked old man is, like, killed with a pentagram on his chest. It's like, okay, like, I get it. Like, it's a little much. But freaking Tom Hanks figures out the mystery, saves the day. Okay movie. I give it like a 3-ish out of 5, whatever. Angels and Demons is the sequel, and it like it's involved in stuff with the church, and Tom Hanks is like trying to get involved in stuff. There's a lot of twists and turns in this one. This was probably my least favorite or whatever. And then I don't know much to say about it, but Inferno I want to talk about. Because Inferno has this scene that is so laugh out loud funny. It was killing us. In Inferno, they're trying to get, like, he's trying to get documents from, like, the Vatican. And they keep telling him, no, whatever. But then, like, stuff starts happening, and there's, like, threats against all these popes, and it turns into, like, this big bombastic, like, mega thing that's going on. But at one point, they actually have what's called a death mask. And what these things were, where they used to, like, when people would die, like famous people, I don't know if it was other people, too, back in the day, they would take this like clay thing and get a mold of the person upon death. So they have, I guess this exists in real life, I'm assuming so, they have Dante, the poet who made Dante's Inferno, whatever. They have his death mask. So that's a part in the movie that's at this museum, right? So this new mystery, and he's got to find these symbols, and Tom Hanks always finding symbols. That's what he does. Like, he cracks these codes or whatever and figures out stuff. There's something in that mask he needs. So, that was another thing. This movie was actually cool the way they edited it. It wasn't the best movie in the world, but, like, it starts with, like, people, like, almost like a dream sequence of people are, like, in hell and, like, upside down, and there's, like, weird, like, people with their face missing, like, walking up step. Like, it's crazy. But Tom Hanks, it almost kind of reminds me of Metal Gear Solid 5, Phantom Pain. If you're into that game, you might like this. It's off the rails. I actually kind of like Inferno, maybe the best, because of how nutso it went in the editing. But Tom Hanks can't remember something. It's almost like Memento. He doesn't know what's going on. So you're trying to piece together, like, what happened? I got, like, robbed or something. Like, I got my head, like, a concussion. I don't know what's going on. So they need that mask, and they go there, and they're like, the mask is gone. And they're like, what? Like, the mask is gone. And the museum person, like, blows a whistle, and they're like, we have to, like, let's go watch the security cameras. This is so freaking funny. So they're trying to track all this stuff down or whatever. They go into the security room, all these cameras, and they pull up the footage. Okay, we found where the mask is. The mask is here at this part, and they hit play. So Tom Hanks is there with this lady that he's with or whatever. And then the security guards and the museum security is right there. And they're watching. And there's the mask. And Tom Hanks walks up with this guy. Like, that he knew. He talked about before, like Ignacio. He keeps mentioning Ignacio. I was with Ignacio. He comes up. And they're at the mask. And there's a velvet rope around this mask. And Tom Hanks, they're watching the security footage. And Tom Hanks looks around. And they climb over the rope. And they pull up and they start take the mask as they're doing it on the security cam footage. And it cuts back to of the room where Tom Hanks is trying to figure out with everybody else where the mask went. And Tom Hanks is looking like that. And it's like one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Because everybody in there, the security guard's like, you're the guy that stole the freaking mask. And it reminded me of when I talked about when Mass Effect came out, the third one, and I got the DLC, and they're like, these terrorists came and killed my parents and slaughtered them. And it cuts back to the cutscene where I'm wearing the DLC costume of the people that just pillaged the entire... That's terrible that happened. Like, it reminded me of that in Mass Effect, but... Oh my god, yeah. Funny. Crazy editing. I don't think any of these movies are actually good, but... a good time. You will definitely... And the ending to Angels and Demons... Or it might be Inferno. I can't remember. No, it's actually Angels and Demons. Involves... like, you'll laugh at the end of how crazy it gets. It's not so but so, but...
You sound like I might need to check them out. You have me at Phantom Pain.
Yeah. The Inferno is Phantom Pain. And you'll have a good time, but...
That's awesome.
That's all I got. Check out those movies. They're fun. But the Hankathon continues. We're going to continue on until Hank tells us to stop. So, hopefully never.
All right. Well.
But quick little stuff. What's going on with the channel? And we'll have more details about this. But, of course, DweeBros, boom. We're the DweeBros now. All channels, DweeBros. Check us out. Next up, we've got a TikTok now. Again, we got everything DweeBros. So just check out, search for DweeBros. I'll be putting some skits on there. I think we'll have some podcast highlights, hangouts, highlights, stuff like that. I don't know what's going to go on there yet, but little goofy skits. We got a couple on there now. And Jacob, do you want to talk about the one thing real quick? What you're kind of taking on?
Coming soon to our community, which is the biggest thing we want to focus on, is how can we interact with our fans? A lot of the things we end up finding out real quickly is whether it's through Hangouts or whether it's through other things, we only have a limited range of interaction. And that's not who we are. If you guys know who we are as individuals, we genuinely do enjoy talking to people and meeting new people. So coming soon, hopefully within the next couple of months, we will be launching a Discord. And in that Discord, you'll be having, and we're going to go over this later at a different time, you're going to have the ability to interact with us and talk with us and just be able to interact with each other. And we're excited about that. A lot of work getting put into this, and we're actually really, honestly, I'm really jazzed about this when we were having the conversation. I know these guys are too. So be looking for updates and announcements of when this Discord will be launching. And hopefully we might even do like I don't know, there's a number of things. We might do a launch party. We might do something crazy.
We'll get crazy with it.
So, but it's exciting. It's an exciting opportunity, and also just a cool thing that we're able to do.
Cool. Travis, you want to talk about anything, or you just want to close your chest, or you got a cool thing too?
Yeah, no, I can tease it a little bit. So a couple things with the TikTok, and Zach's got some creative projects he's kind of looking into, and behind the scenes, I'll be taking on some more production stuff. Going to be doing some editing and stuff.
Oh yeah, he's doing the podcast. So if you're watching this, he's editing us. So
I will be starting editing the podcast starting today. And if you have thoughts about the podcast when the Discord launches, I mean, you can always reach out to me. I'm on Twitter. Reach out to DweeBros Twitter or something like that, or comment on here. But if you end up wanting to just give feedback in general about the podcast, you'll be able to do it in our Discord. But in addition to kind of taking on some production duties, I'm going to be launching a new show in the fall. And I think that we're going to be working on kind of a set of announcements. We're kind of talking through like what's some things we can add to our programming, and maybe do some shows for the fall and then see how they go, make adjustments, do some shows for the spring. But one show that I will be doing for the fall, that we don't have a name or anything for it yet, it's going to involve, if you know me, you know I like music, you know I like old games, I like making music. I think that there will be some cool programming coming your way that can be fun, and we can hang out together and kind of look at video game music in a different way than maybe just what we've done before on the channel. So got that as a little teaser out there.
Cool. That's it. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the DweeBros podcast. So I will leave you on this note. If you're going to ride on anything, don't crash. Just don't crash.
Or use something that has more than one wheel.
Yeah. Just ride don't ride a unicycle. If you have that, throw it away. Only ride bikes and more when it comes to wheels. But thank you for watching. It's been fun. And I'm still mad about Lola Bunny. Good night.